Hello, everybody. Thanks for clicking into another edition of, this pains me to have to say this, but due to a poker game at the International Bigfoot Conference that I had with Wes and Woody Grimmer, from Sasquatch Chronicle, that little show Sasquatch Chronicles over there in Washington. I know they don't have a very big audience, but I made a little bet that if I lost the poker game, I would change the name of my next 4 episodes to Sit Down with Wes and Woody. So I am a man of my word. So, hello everybody. Thanks for clicking into another episode of Sit Down with Wes and Woody. God, that hurts. Today's guest comes to us again. We've actually had an opportunity to talk to this gentleman once before, and I'll tell you what, he was a class act on the show. I've never heard anything bad about him. He's always out in the woods. He's doing a lot of research. Actually, recently saw a news article on TV with him in it, which was pretty cool. And we're going to get to that. But he just had a new video come out, and I'll tell you, it's amazing. Please welcome Mr. David Lauer. Hey, Dave, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Ed, it's good to be back. Thank you for having me, and sorry to hear about your bet there. It's awful nice of you and good of you to man up on your bet.
I thought about it. I was trying to find a way to get out of it, but there's really no good way to do it and stay true.
No.
So.
You got to stay the course.
Yeah, I can say that it was unfair because it was 2 against 1, and I want to point out that although I did lose, Wes did not beat me, by the way. Only Woody. Woody beat me pretty good. Woody's a pretty good card player. Wes, if it was 1-on-1, I had it in the bag. He would have been, done. It would have been over. He might as well not even sit down at the table with me. But Wes got me, and I lost. So it is what it is. But this is the first of 4 episodes of Sit Down with Wes and Woody. So that's what it is.
It's going to take getting used to.
Oh, man, it's going to take a lot of getting used to. So we're going to have to – we'll get through it, though. I promise you somehow we'll get through it. I hope that my audience doesn't fall and my ratings go down because of their names on my show. But we're – I'm kidding. I actually like Wes and Woody a lot. They're actually really, really good guys. Very successful Sasquatch Chronicles show, and I love their show myself. So I have absolutely no problem whatsoever honoring them and their poker prowess for by calling this Sit Down with Wes and Woody for 4 episodes. But 4 episodes only, Wes, Woody. That's it. That's all you get. So, Mr. Lauer, how's it going, man? It's been a while since we talked. I know you've been doing a lot. You've got a lot going on. So kind of catch us up, man.
Absolutely. The Sasquatch Hunters is now known as the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project, and I'm proud to be a part of that. One of the reasons why we changed the name is because, A, we've learned a lot since we came out with the first group name, and B, it sounds a lot more professional and scientific than the Sasquatch Hunters. Because over the years we've learned that if you go out there with any guns or anything like that, thinking that you're going to be able to hunt these things down, you're wrong. And we've learned that we thought that we needed guns at first, A, for protection from these creatures that nobody knows anything about. But after researching this area that we've been researching and getting closer to these animals, we don't feel threatened, and we realize that approach that you take, that mindset when you first start off any research or investigation outing, to have that mindset that you're not going out there to hunt these creatures. These creatures are either going to come up to you because they're curious, but you're not going to go out there and find that needle in the haystack. There's different approaches that you have to do, and we feel like that name, Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project, encompasses those values and that change there within our team. So that's the major reason why we changed that.
Good. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, recently, I believe it was October 16th, and today's, the 20th, I believe, or 21st, something like that. But recently, you were out there with some people, and you got a really cool piece of video. And I got to tell you, when I first seen it, I contacted Mr. Lauer right away because I knew that this was something that I wanted to talk about on the show because it's a great piece of footage. And why don't we just do you mind if we just show this real quick, Dave?
Go ahead, show it. That's
all right.
fine. Yes, sir.
I'm going to show the video, and we're going to put that in, and then Dave and I'll come back in just a minute, and we'll talk about it. So. Darn, Dave, that's some really, really cool stuff, man. So set that up for me, man. What happened? Tell me what happened. I mean, you do a good job in the video, don't get me wrong, but give us a little more detail.
Absolutely. Well, what led up to that particular outing is we've had some activity over there at our habituation site. A few weeks prior to that, we actually had an encounter. Josh Watson, a team member of ours, and another guy who doesn't want to be named at the moment, were out there at that location and had a pretty close encounter happen to them. And we put a video out about that as well. And the next day, the group went out there and we were able to locate over 18 tracks. And approximately, I think it was 4 of those we could cast. It may have been 5. But they were castable, and they were the best tracks that personally I've ever casted or ever came across doing Bigfoot research. So that's what set this whole ball into motion. We knew that these animals were there in that location, and we didn't want them to leave before we explored every opportunity to try to capture some footage of the animals. And that's what it's going to take to get it proven. Unfortunately, the thermal videos, it's great evidence to have. And myself and the members of our group, we're pretty confident in what was filmed was a skunk ape or a Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. Now, scientifically speaking, a thermal video by itself, even if it's good like the one that we put out, that we were able to capture, is that there's no clear definition. And scientifically speaking, if you work with scientists, if you want to prove a species, you're going to have to get a clear HD photo, full body photo of that creature, and then also have some DNA collected, whether it's hair, scat, or anything like that. But myself, especially, I'm confident of what we got on that film.
Sure.
It was a very, very intense moment. I had just actually gotten into position. I was out there with Stacy Brown and Josh Watson on this particular outing, and we all split up. We were in like a triangle formation, and my area was the furthest away from anybody else's area. And we all went into position, and I no sooner got into position and got to where I wanted to start a fire and just kind of take a laid-back approach, just kind of let them do their thing and try to come up to me. I'm just there minding my own business type approach to that night. Mm-hmm. So I start gathering my leaves and my small twigs to start a fire, and I hear a noise that's behind me or back up to this ridge. And I said, okay, if I hear another leaf rustle, if I hear anything else, I'm just going to turn it on and then turn around and point and shoot and see what I got. And I heard another noise. So I immediately turned on the thermal and started recording. And I heard, after the rustling, I heard what sounded to me like a buck grunt. I don't know if you've ever heard that before in the woods.
Sure.
That's what I could associate the sound with. So I stand up and I turn around and I start panning. And when I'm panning is when I picked up the definition on the FLIR and I started filming it. I stayed steady on that position. And the thing is, it was looking at me. I really think that they can see very well at night. That night it was almost a full moon. I can't tell you what stage it was in, but it was damn near a full moon, and it was very bright in the woods that night. You could see the moonlight. If you look through a field or through the woods there, you could see the moonlight trickling in between the trees. It was really a really bright night and a good night to do what we were doing. And I saw the creature looking at me, and that's the first thought that went into my head was, it sees me, it's looking at me. And then it turned around and it ran. And I never felt threatened. I guess it was just instinct or something like that. I took off up the hill. I wanted to get more footage of it. I probably shouldn't have took off up the hill after it. I should have probably just chilled out, but I was excited. You know, we've been investigating this area for 3 years, and this is the first time I get it on FLIR, and
Sure.
I'll be damned if I'm gonna let this thing get away. Is my
Sure.
my attitude. So I chased it up the hill to no avail. Of course, all I can hear is just movement, what it sounded like bipedal running through the woods. I know what a deer sounds like when it's hopping away from you. You know, I know what it sounds like when there's 4 legs running away from you as opposed to 2, and it was definitely on 2 legs. You know, some of the other group members that watched the tape seemed to think that maybe it could have went down on all 4s via the video. You know, I'm not sure if it did or not, but I know that what I heard was running on 2 feet through the woods there, and it was way faster than I was. I haven't ran that hard since I got out of the military. And it smoked me. I was on hands and knees. I actually was chewing some tobacco so I wouldn't be out there smoking, and I actually swallowed every bit of chewing tobacco I had running up that hill.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. So I get to the top of the hill, and then I got a call for reinforcements. I am gassed, and I'm like, hey, Stacy, you guys got to come up here and help me. It's up here. I think it's still up here in this field, and I know that they took off running, coming up there towards me, and I just got my hands on my knees, and I think I threw up like 3 or 4 times. But it was a very exciting night, and I believe that our message that we're using now, that we've learned over the last 3 years, is what's allowing us to get closer to these creatures. I think you can get closer to them, and it's all in the mindset that you take when you go to approach them. You can't go out there and try to, you know, I hate to say it, but you can't chase them around like I tried to do.
Sure.
That has adverse effects, you know, that I may have affected that particular animal to where it may not want to come back. You know, that's just the reality of it. That's what you have to think that way, you know, when you're researching these animals. Right. But that's the situation of what happened, and I'm certainly glad that I got it on thermal. And like I said, I am convinced, and my team members are convinced, based off the evidence leading up to that point. We're confident that is a skunk ape on that FLIR.
Awesome. And I got to tell you, man, I'm pretty stumped by it myself. So you mentioned that you guys were in like a triangular formation, all right? I'm assuming you were at one point, Stacy was another point, and I think Josh was that another point?
Yes.
Did that surround where the creature was, or the figure was, or was it outside the triangle?
It was coming into the triangle. The triangle formation was set up based off of Josh's earlier encounter, so that we could be in position to hopefully see that creature come in and come out of that property, so we would know where it's coming in and out of. Sure. The thing is what we kind of reassured ourselves is it's coming in and out of that property wherever it wants to, not wherever we think it is.
Right.
But that was the purpose behind that formation. Stacy was at one point. Of course, Josh was up closer to the house, and then I was over across this huge ravine, you know, and up that embankment a little bit further away. Right.
So now, when this thing takes off in the video, and everybody just saw this, but when it runs away, it takes there's 2 things that I really noticed about the way it was running, about what happened, and I wanted to kind of touch on those and get your opinion and your theories on that as well. First of all, when it ran away, it took a sharp right turn. Do you think that because it was in the triangle that maybe it heard Stacy or Josh coming from another area and it turned, or do you think that was a planned route?
I think that possibly it could have been a planned route, an escape route that creature could have had. However, now Stacy and Josh at this time, after I made that call, they were both running up, and the trail that they would have had to have run up would have been a little bit further away and a little bit more to the right of where that creature ran, and that is exactly where I chased it. And Stacy and Josh did flush something large that they heard when they were running up. They didn't stop. They kept coming towards me because they thought that I needed help.
Sure.
But they did mention that something, it sounded like something large had moved or been, you know, crossing the trail or something on their way up. So it may have been that squatch. I did not hear it leave that field. I did hear movement running, but I assumed that it was still in that field, or it could have been another Sasquatch out there. The tracks that we got were of two different sizes. And to me, that lets me know that here's physical evidence that you have two separate animals out here.
Sure.
So we know that there's more than one out there.
Cool. The other thing that I really noticed about this video is that when it's running away, if I'm running and I'm running as fast as I can, even in the dark, my head is going to bob up and down as I run. It's just natural running motion.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't do that. This kept a very low profile, and it stayed steady the entire time. Even after it turned right, its head stayed level. And I find that interesting because it's very comparable to Patty, the Gimlison, Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson video. It's very reminiscent to that as far as the head stays steady. There's no bobbing up and down. And that's not normal walking or running motion for a human being. Is that true? Is that a fair statement?
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I've seen a lot of reports and gotten reports of how how smooth these things move when they move. Their movement when they're on two legs, it's like they're floating more than walking in some reports. And I think that it has to do with how they walk in their stride and how they take steps. I don't think it's going to be exactly the same as you or I out there walking around, because our heads would be bobbing up and down, and those are just natural movements that we can't help.
Sure.
But yes, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly, 100%.
Well, the other thing is the fact that it had a route in mind is what it looks to me like. It didn't waste any time going to a particular spot and turning right. You know what I mean? So was there a path there? Did it have a clear route, or what? What do you think is the reason for that right-hand turn? Because there has to be a reason.
I
like
think
most animals, they're going to take the path of least resistance. So is that
the path of least resistance? The way it's opened up in there with those pine trees, it could go either direction that it wanted to. There would have been some weeds and some thicker brush in between, but these things are so big and massive, it could just crash through that. And you also have to think now, this is where that creature lives. This is that creature's habitat. If you're inside your house right now, Mr. Ed, and you turn off your lights and it's pitch black in there, you can still get up and go to the bathroom. You can still get up and go to the kitchen and fix you a glass of water, because you're so used to walking around in that house, you don't need the lights on to know where stuff's at.
Exactly.
These animals know that property like the back of their hand, and they must know it to be able to survive. They have to know that land like the back of their hand, or else somebody would have seen them, a long time ago. We wouldn't even be having this Where's Bigfoot whole research deal going on now. It would have been solved by now if it was that easy.
What do you think is the reason for their elusiveness? Because you mentioned that you guys had to change your entire approach to try to find them. I mean, obviously, And I agree with you. In my opinion, they are a living flesh and blood animal. Okay, and again, that's just my own opinion. I've seen some crazy things out there. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I've seen some crazy things. But what is it about their intelligence that made you guys change your entire approach to catching one of these, or catching one video, or catching the evidence, or whatever you want to put it?
Well, I think that they avoid humans at all costs. There's reports that go back way into the first beginning days of America, and the First Nations people have had, encounters and dealings with Sasquatch well before anybody else ever arrived in the United States. And we don't know what their population was back in those days. It could have been an instance where the more aggressive Bigfoot or whatever could have been hunted, and killed, kind of called out, and then that survival mechanism kicked in, and in order to survive, the Bigfoot that would instinctually stay away from humans would be the ones that would survive. And I think that has been passed down through generations. I think when a baby Bigfoot's born and it can understand stuff, its daddy's telling them, hey, stay away from those hairless dudes, because they'll shoot you. And I mean, there's trophy bucks and trophy elk and trophy every other animal that has learned to survive and gotten big and gotten smart by avoiding man. And I don't think that Bigfoot and skunk ape those, or whatever you want to call it, is any different than those animals.
Well, I think that's a great analogy as far as, using the I don't know, we'll call it population by process of elimination, if you will. If they learn to stay away from humans, they're going to live longer, and I think that's a lesson to learn. I mean, we pretty much destroy everything we touch as it is.
Oh yeah.
So, do you guys have any plans on going back out again? I mean, wait, before I go there, hold on a second. I want to go back just a second. You got the clear footage, and you said you found 2 sets of tracks. Was one of the sets of tracks in that spot where the clear footage was taken?
There were some tracks that were leading in that direction, and then the substrate changes, and you will lose the tracks, and then at that point you have to use your best judgment of where you think that they could be. If you were a Bigfoot, where would you hide? When you can't see the tracks, you have to start thinking like what you're going after. If I was a Bigfoot, which way would I go if I didn't want to be seen? Or, like you said earlier, which is the path of least resistance? And then you have to pick up that trail further on. But we have found tracks in that area on previous expeditions and outings in this particular site.
Good deal. Now, did they match the tracks you found this particular time?
Yes, we have been consistently finding 16-inch tracks and 14-inch tracks out there on this property. And then, 3 years ago when we first started going out there, we were going out there and we were finding 13-inch tracks. So it's like these animals they don't know it, but we're seeing them grow. I think it's the same animals that are out there, and I think they were younger, years ago, and then as they're growing, their feet get bigger, and they're the same animals, just bigger tracks. Sure.
I recently heard that someone made a guess that these things had like a 200-year lifespan, and if that's the case, it's like 3 times longer than we would have. I don't know if that's true, but I guess in order to grow, I guess that would take a long time to make a difference in the size of the foot, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. What do you think as far as like a lifespan? What would be your guess? Do you think they're more human?
I think maybe 40 around that area would be a good guess. And I mean, the only reason I base that so short, I don't think it's 200 or anything like that, is because those Bigfoot are out there. They're not getting any antibiotics. They're not going up to the doctors or anything like that and getting treatment for whatever ails them. They got to be tough. They got to see it all the way out by themselves. They don't have any other help. It's just them out there. Sure. So if they get a bad bug out there, it's just whatever their own immune system can do to battle that. I think that 200 years may be stretching it a bit. That kind of sounds like, I don't know anything that lives for 200 years except for maybe those turtles or something,
Right.
Giant turtles.
And I'm with you. I mean, I guess if I were guessing, I probably would have said, 70 years more humanistic if it were me. And I think about that, and I try to take what you said a second ago, and that's actually what led me to that question, was if they're only living 40 years as opposed to, let's just hypothetically say 200 years, that means we would be 5 times more likely to find a dead body because there'd be 5 times more dead. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So what is it that you think they're doing to keep us from finding a dead body?
Well, I wouldn't put it past me, and this is just my personal beliefs on this.
Of course.
I believe that if you're that large and you're out there and you need calorie intake and you have a member of your family that dies and there's no other food around, kind of like what, Neanderthal used to do or is reported of doing, would be to eat the dead. I believe that could be a possibility. I believe that is a possibility, or they could bury their dead. They've seen enough human interaction with the Indians and seen what they did with dead bodies. I don't put it past me that they could bury it, or maybe put it in a river and sink the body or something like that if they don't want to be found. But I think to me, it's more likely that they would eat it. These aren't. I don't think that they're humans. I think that they're highly intelligent, but you got to wonder if they're out there and they're wild. How wild is wild? It's not tame. It's not being a human, and that is an available food source if they were scavengers or anything like that. And there's reports of Neanderthals doing it, so I wouldn't put it past me if they would eat it. And then once it's just bones, a pack of coyotes comes along, and there goes your bones.
Absolutely right. And I don't think there is a place in North America, or pretty much, we'll say North America, that doesn't have scavengers of some type. So the likelihood of a body, I guess, lasting very long in the woods would not be very long whatsoever, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is an area that you guys have been going to for how long? 3 years, you said. Is this anywhere close to the footage that Stacy Brown got? Is it in that area?
Yes, it is. It's within that area. That's on a separate track that we do regular research on. Also, it's very near. It's closer to the actual Apalachacola River, where Mr. Brown was able to get his footage, which was absolutely amazing. And I wish mine was half as good as his. But it's definitely in the same area, and that's where we're focusing our efforts. There seems to be a lot more activity up in that area in the fall, and what I've noticed is down south, down towards Mayaca and Ocala and areas down south of there, a lot of activity in the Everglades and everything seems to be in the springtime, and I haven't put that correlation together yet. Now, one thing that we're doing is we're a lot more open to other teams and other investigators. We're at the point now to where, we want to compare notes. We want to say if somebody wants to see, from a different group, they want to know what evidence we have or things like that. We're open to talking to them and trying to learn from them things that they've tried and worked, and we want them to learn from us, because another part of my personal mission with the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project is to be able to prove that they exist and then be able to protect them. They're going to need land to be able to do their thing, and they shouldn't be encroached upon by humans. And that's my, once it's proven, then I'm not going to go in there and try to film them. I'm not going to go in there and look for them or bother them in any way. I would have already known, and I would have passed on my data to a scientist, and I would work with them on being able to find them, but that's it. That's my end game. I'm passionate about finding these creatures. I love being out in the woods just because I'm a country boy. But over the years, of looking for these things, and I mean, I've got one, that I just call by myself the house banger, just because of reports of this house getting banged on all the time at our habituation site. So it's like you get closer to these creatures too that you research, and you want the best for them. I know that they're there, and it's a matter of time before we prove it. And if any other research group wants to get in on that, I'm not going to tell them no. I'm not going to tell them no. You can't see my notes over here and try to hide my notebook. I'm going to show it to them, and I'm going to want to see theirs too. I'm going to want to work with them because it's time. And the Bigfoot community really needs that. I mean, as well as I do, that anytime you put any evidence out there, it gets ripped apart.
Yes.
And I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to have skeptics in your group because they open your mind up to a different way of thinking. I'm passionate about finding these creatures, and I really want to find them, but sometimes it's better to take a step back and skeptically look at something like, okay, is this possible? Is it not possible? Why not? Just to throw those different types of questions just to get you thinking out of the box, and so you're not just like blinded by one idea. I think that's certain death in the research field. And that's something that our group is working on. We want to work with other groups. I guess they can hear the show and it's out there. I know one group, the ISRT down in Lakeland, they're doing some good things down there. And, I'd be more than happy to go out with those guys or have those guys go out with us just to get some different input on a few things. And, and just any group that wants to learn or know things or that can teach anything, we want to hear from them.
Sure.
So, and I think that the Bigfoot community needs that.
That's awesome. And I think you're 100% right. And actually, I'm going to make that into a segue, and I'm going to do a little shameless plug here. Hope my audience doesn't mind. But what we're doing, we've actually already started doing it, David. And what I did was I created a website. You can go to, it's cryptoevidencelocker.com. That's one word, cryptoevidencelocker.com. And even though the website is definitely in its infancy and there's nothing on it yet, except for my own personal encounter, the idea is to provide a place where people can go and submit their evidence or pieces of their research or whatever, and share that with everybody else, a place that people can go and look at pictures, and they can go and they can read stories and encounters, and not just in the Bigfoot world, but as well as, there's going to be there's a paranormal section, there's an extraterrestrial section, it's going to be wide open to the different genres. But the idea is to give a one place stop, basically, that you can go and look at as much evidence as you want to, read as many stories as you want to, and compare notes. Take exactly what you're saying. Take time to read. It's like you read a story and you go, oh, wow, that did happen to me. Now I know why that happened. It can happen, and that's the idea. So we're hoping to bring researchers together. So I'm going to say it one more time, cryptoevidencelocker.com, one word, cryptoevidencelocker.com. So anyway, we'll continue on, but I thought that was a great idea, and I love what you're saying, because it is important. It's very important for researchers to kind of start opening up their mind a little bit, and I love that you guys have changed your entire approach, not because I didn't think what was working before wasn't working, but because it shows me and everybody else out there that you were wrong, and you made a change. You're progressing forward, and I love that. So congratulations for you guys for that. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. And congratulations to you on your website. You're kind of like pioneering it.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, we actually just put it up yesterday. So that kind of tells you how early it is on the process. But we're looking for people to throw in as much stuff as they want, and it's I'm not going to keep people's evidence out because I don't believe it. My theory, my own personal opinion will not play in factor of anything going on the website. So anything and everything is welcome. We just want as much as possible to just fill this thing up.
Absolutely. Unbiased evidence. That's what you need. And then, because when you have that and you can look at it, you can find out what works, and if it works, then it's repeatable, to other groups. And that's what you need. You need patterns that are repeatable so scientists can repeat it, whether it's, how you draw them in or what you think works to draw them in or whatever. I agree with that 100%. I am glad you're doing that.
No, thank you. Well, yeah, take a look at it. Maybe you can put your video on there.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't sense this overwhelming okay there, Dave.
No, it's okay. Yes, sir.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. So what are you guys working on now, Dave? What do you guys got going on? I mean, I know, and I know we can't talk about it, and I'm not going to, but I know you guys have got some really big stuff coming up later. But what do you guys have going on now?
Well, right now it's just evidence review. We also got some audio that same night that Josh had his encounter, and we put that out on video too. I thought that audio was really good, and we're just looking at the playbook here, drawing up a new play to hit that habituation site, and try some new ideas. We kind of took an approach that yielded a lot of evidence this time, and we're hoping that we can repeat that. And we're just looking for, getting the right people in the right position at the right time. And it takes a lot of preparation, and that's the mode that we're in right now, not only on that habituation track, but also on the track where Mr. Brown filmed his Bigfoot as well. And that's the name of the game right now, is just at the drawing board, planning our next move here and getting everybody's time to coordinate, and then get on the same schedule and get out there and do some more research. Over the next few weeks, you can expect a lot from us, and hopefully it'll be yielding evidence. We did recover some hair that was located near some of those tracks that we found, and we were able to send that off. Yes, and we're extremely excited about that, and we are waiting for the result as we speak.
Good deal. How long does it normally take?
On that.
How long does it normally take to get some of that type of evidence back, hair samples? To get
Well, if you got a lot of money, it doesn't take very long at all. But when you don't have a lot of money, it takes 3 days for it to get there via snail mail, and then you're at the mercy of your scientists when they can fit it into their schedule. Now, if you got a whole lot of $100 bills, usually their schedule can open up for you.
Sure.
But if you don't have a pound of 20s, then you're kind of at the mercy of their schedule. It is something that these scientists are actually passionate about, and we can't wait for the results. Gotcha.
Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and just guess we're talking Dr. Todd Disabel. Is that who's doing this for you guys?
He has offered to do some stuff for us. I really can't get into who it is quite yet.
Sure. Fair enough.
Because that's another thing that's going to be coming out, but it's an accredited scientist that everyone is familiar with, and I will leave it at that.
Perfect. So Dave, tell us about your guys' your website. What is that, Cryptomundo? Tell us about that a little bit. Kind of tell people where they can go find that, and they can see your videos and your evidence and what you guys have coming out. I mean, some really great stuff, by the way.
Ed, you were breaking up. Can you repeat that question? You were breaking up a little bit.
My bad. I said, tell people about the Cryptomundo.com. Your website. Tell a little bit about what you've got on the website, what's coming, where they can go to find it, all the information. Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project is the website. Right now we have our Facebook page up for it, and then the website that was the SasquatchHunters.com is also now the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project. And they can go look us up on Facebook. Of course, Stacy, Josh, and I, Stevie, we're all on Twitter. You can look us up on there. But a lot of all the evidence that we have and the progress that we'll be making on our Skunk Ape Project will all be posted on there, the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project.
Perfect. I actually stand corrected. Your video that is on your Facebook page, it's showing it's from Cryptomundo.com, so I'm assuming that's where I saw it at. So my apologies. That is not your guys' website, and then I apologize. But
no worries.
That's cool. So how big is this year? How big is your team? Who do you have on your team?
Well, we have a lot of team members on our team. Some are more active than others because of scheduling, and then some are more active than others because of their particular location. Right now we have some core members. I'm going to go ahead and say probably 5 to 7 core members. And then we have other members that can come out whenever they can and actually help out quite a bit. So overall, altogether, probably about maybe 25 members right now. And of course, we're always, recruiting and getting more members to come out that want to help out. And
sure.
We don't turn anybody away. We try to learn from everybody and try to teach people a lot of stuff, a lot of things too.
Well, that's awesome. I'm actually going to be in Florida here in a few weeks. About 4 weeks, I'm going to be in Florida. Maybe we can set up a time. You can take me out to where your clear was shot.
Oh yeah, no, hey,
do another little
Ed,
there.
you've got to come out with us. You have got to come out with us. If you come to Florida and you don't come out with us, you're going to be in trouble. You got to come out with us. Let us know when it is, and we will set that up. He's on air, folks. You can hear it right now. I've got him. We got Ed Brown. We need him. So you let me know when you come down and you're hitting the woods with me, buddy.
That would be awesome, and count me in. And I tell you what, that's one thing about my job is I've gotten to go out to a lot of different places, and I've had a lot of fun doing really boots on the ground, deep woods research, and I love it. So we'd love to go out with you guys. We'll definitely put that together.
Okay,
so Dave, what else do you have for me,
man?
Do you have anything else that you want to plug or talk about, or something maybe I missed that you wanted to talk about? You do.
Well, we're doing great. Like I said, we switched our name to the Apalachacola Skunk Ape Project. It's a project that we're all very, very passionate about. If anybody has any sightings, in particularly the West Panhandle area of Florida, please let us know. No matter how minute you may think it is, we still want to know about it, because even the smallest detail is what could put us over the edge and have us finally prove what we know is already real. So please just help us out. If there's any researchers out there that have researched that area or are near that area, look us up, give us a call. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you.
That's awesome.
And that's
awesome.
the name of the game.
And, of course, if you guys get to go out with them, guys, I mean, you're talking about going out with professionals, man. You know, Stacy Brown, David Lauer, Stevie Strings. By the way, I love that guy. Stevie Strings, how are you, man? We're going to have to get you on the show sooner or later. But everybody else on the team, I mean, you guys are awesome. You guys do a great job. You know, I know that Stacy has that, you know, lone wolf badass attitude, but I like it. I can dig it. So it's awesome. Well, Dave, man, thanks for coming on the show this evening, and we're going to get this out, man. We want to get this video out. We want people to see it because I think, you know, I haven't had the opportunity yet to sit down and really, you know, go into it really detailed yet, but I'm telling you, I like what I see. I think you got a great piece of footage there.
Well, thank you, Ed. I appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you, and I can't wait to get off the phone here and go to that website you just mentioned and take a look at that, and I'll help you out with that any way I can. You just name it, and I'll help you.
Sounds good,
definitely
man.
Something
Sounds
I'd like
good.
to be a part of.
Hey, man, just submit some evidence. Go to the submit. There's actually a tab at the top saying submit my evidence. Click on that. That'll take you to a page where you put in your name, your email address, and you can type me a message. In that message, just tell me about your encounter, and I am going to take that directly from your words and put that right on the page. So it'll be visible from now on.
Well, that sounds good. It sounds like a deal. I appreciate it.
All right, Dave. Listen, man, we're going to have you on the show again. I'm going to come to Florida. I'm going to get out there with you. We're going to bring out some video cameras, and we're going to have some fun with it. And we're going to put together a nice time, and we'll post that and see what's going on out there. Does that sound fair enough?
That sounds fair enough. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, buddy. David Lauer, thank you so much, man. And for that, we're out.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.